Welcome back to the latest episode of the Key and Mang audio experience. I'm your host, Mang. As always, joined by my fellow co-host, Key. Key, what's good?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Can't complain. Today, we got another special one. We got the co-host, one of the co-hosts of Off the Clock, newly licensed PT, and because I'm in Orlando, I got to mention this one. He's an Orlando Magic fan, but we'll talk about that later. Dr. Karl Bourne Jr. Karl, what's good?
You gotta chill with the magic. It's too early to be bringing my magic into this, but I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank y'all for having me. Talk to me.
Hey, look, man. If I can bring the Orlando slander, I'm gonna bring it. You know me, man.
That's fair. That's fair, bro.
But I wanted to open it up with, can you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing right now?
Yeah, man, 100%. So for those of you who don't know me, as Mang said, Dr. Karl Bourne Jr., I graduated from the University of St. Augustine in December, and I just took my boards the end of April, passed that. So right now, currently been focusing on building the business. I accepted a job offer a couple days ago. So that'll be good, being able to kind of use that to help build everything I want to build. But aside from that, in PT school, I started an SEO/marketing business. That's been going really well, really well, thank God. And right now, currently, we are in a phase where we're just kind of trying to scale up. We're looking at trying to hire possibly a VA, if not bring on some additional hands to kind of help me and my partner so that we can do more of the sales calls. And well, he does the sales calls portion, and I do mostly like the teaching and stuff like that for our SEO community. But it would be good if we can get some people on to kind of help with the sales aspect of things. That way, we can kind of do more of the heavy lifting and scale the business up. So right now, currently, that's the big thing. So looking forward to being able to really invest more into the business now that PT school and boards and all that is behind me.
How was your experience with finding a job?
It was easy, to be honest with you. Like I don't feel like it was really difficult. I know there's a lot of gurus or people out there that like to tell you, when you're a new grad, what you should be accepting and stuff like that, and that's cool. I understand people mean well, but I think at the end of the day, you have to know what works for you. You know what I'm saying? You have to know what your situation looks like. And ultimately, you need to know, like, from a standpoint of like your expenses, if you're trying to invest, if you have other things that are going on, like, what works, what numbers work and what numbers don't work. You know what I'm saying? And for me, like, I already I already had said, like, when I was done, whoever I started working with, like, they were gonna have to pay me. Like, not know, like, oh, we're gonna start you off at 60, 65, 7. Like, no. Like, you're gonna have to pay me, right? So for me, I kind of was just like, I had my number in my head, and I was like, if you can't match that, like, cool. Like, I'll keep moving until I find, what I want, but I also, in my mind, I had my other options. I had the travel in my mind, I had the home health, I had stuff like that. But yeah, I felt like it was a relatively easy process. I feel like we're in an industry where we're in demand anyway, so it doesn't take much for us to be able to take advantage of an opportunity and ultimately find something good for ourselves.
How did you come up with your number? Because I know people be posting all the time about, like, I should be making six figures because I'm 170K a day, but you don't bring nothing to the table. And I know.
Fam, can we talk about this? Like let's really talk about this, because that pisses me off, right? Like, I understand, like, yes, we are a doctorate level profession. Yes, we're doctors of PT. Absolutely, like, we should be compensated what we're worth. But if you have nothing that you're bringing to the table, how can you really ask to get paid like someone who has a ton of value? You know what I mean? Like, you haven't proven anything yet. And I don't know, maybe me, I'm different because also just like where I grew up at, you know what I'm saying? And the people I grew up with, you don't get to see this kind of paper legally. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a thing. So for me, I look at it as like, yo, this is a great opportunity. This is, a good position for me to be in, to be able to build, what I want to build. And some people just come out and they feel entitled and like, yeah, fam, I get you. You got all this debt, yada, yada, yada. Me personally, F them loans, they're going to get paid. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to build. I'll worry about that later. You know what I'm saying? Everybody comes out and they're like, oh, I want to throw all my money at my loans and stuff. And like, cool, like, do you? Like, if that works for you, that's fine. But me personally, I'm like, I'm not going to do that when I can build something, you know what I'm saying? When I can invest my money, get a higher ROI and then turn around and say, okay, I'm set. So if I want to pay off everything right now, I can pay off everything right now, but I'm not going to kill myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, think of it like this. If you decided I want to invest in real estate, if you're investing in real estate, depending on how you're going about doing it, there's a possibility you're going to have to go to the bank and you're going to have to ask them for a loan, right? Now, if you do that, what does that mean? It means you're in debt now, correct? So you're in debt now, but for you, you're thinking like, okay, well, my ROI is going to be X if I can pull this off, or this is the amount of money that's going to be coming back in. So I just don't understand why we don't look at our degree the same way. Like, yeah, we're coming out in debt, but you got to make something shake. You got to figure out how you can get the most return on investment with, what you were able to get from PT school. So, yeah.
Pivoting from loans and the whole job aspect, when it comes to starting a business, how did you manage doing that in school? I feel like it's becoming accepted nowadays, but I feel like that's still kind of new. So how was your experience with that?
Yeah, that's a good one. And I think Mang knows a little bit about like what it was like for me, because I kind of talked to you throughout. It's tough, right? Like, it's not traditional, it's not the norm. You know what I'm saying? So for myself, what I really had to do was I had to sacrifice a lot. Like, I always tell people when they ask me, because they expect me to tell them like, oh, like, it's okay. Like, if you just do this, you can make it work. And like, that wasn't my reality, right? Like, my reality was there would be nights where maybe I got like 3-4 hours of sleep, and it was what it was. You know what I'm saying? But I knew what my end goal was. So I was like, hey, this is just a means to an end. So for myself, and shout out to Paul, that's my business partner. For myself and Paul, we really had to kind of figure out how we could make it work. We still had the podcast. And so like what we did is we would kind of schedule out ahead. So I think in my last year of PT school, matter of fact, yeah, in my last year of PT school, we had episodes scheduled like to where when I was on my clinical internship, we didn't need to record because we had episodes for like 6 months. We just binge recorded with people, so that was good. That was taken care of. And then from a business aspect, I kind of just had to figure out time management wise where I could kind of fit in those little pockets where, you know, I could do some SEO work for a client, or I could hop on a call and talk to clients and, you know, figure out whatever needed to be figured out. But it wasn't easy, you know, like I'll never tell anybody like, yeah, it was an easy route, you know, because I had to sacrifice sleep. I had to sacrifice additional social time and stuff like that as well. But I think when you really want something and your why is strong, like your brain will find a way to make it happen, you know, and that was my reality. Is I just had to kind of find a way to make everything fit. And so that's what I did.
Yeah, my man, prime hours are at the early morning of like 3 a.m. You text
See,
Carl,
you know it.
text Carl at regular times, and he'll respond back at 3 a.m. Sorry, bro, I've been grinding for the last couple hours.
See, you know it, bro.
But before we dive more into like what the experience was like in school, I want to kind of take a broader look at. We're talking a lot about SEO today, and I wanted to define some terms just so everyone's on the same page before we dive back into your experience of handling the business and like operating that and what you guys are trying to do with off the clock and SEO marketing stuff. So my first question is, what is SEO and why is it important?
Yeah, so SEO stands for search engine optimization. And just in a nutshell, it's important because it's going to allow you to be able to grow your organic traffic, or essentially grow your brand, grow your marketing without having to worry about spending a ton of money in paid ads, right? Because a lot of people like to go the paid ads route, which there's nothing wrong with that. In our business, we used to do ads and SEO, but there was a peer of ours that was strictly Facebook ads, and not to put anybody's business out there, but we kind of saw like their stuff got hacked and like millions of dollars or thousands of dollars, whatever, essentially was gone, you know. And when we saw that, it was like, all right, let's focus on SEO, because that's not something we would have to worry about with SEO, you know. Like we don't have a ton of our clients' money on a specific account where people can hack that. Like, no, like we get paid, we have the money in our account, you know what I'm saying? We do what we need to do. And so that was kind of where we pivoted, and we were like, yeah, just strictly SEO. So just important from that perspective of being able to really focus on organic growth and not having to worry about an ad spend as well.
And when did you decide that SEO was the direction that you and Paul wanted to take in terms of building the business?
So, so I think this one stems back to 2018, actually. Yeah, back in 2018, shout out to GT, shout out to Greg Todd. I remember I was on the phone with GT the fall of 2018, and he was like, you know what you need to do? What I need to do, GT? You need to look into SEO. Because at the time, and Meng, you know, but at the time, Key, before I got into PT school, I used to write. Like I did a lot of writing. And so like for me, how I kind of got my name out there and stuff was like, I was writing for some of the big name people. Like I was writing for Pre-PT Grind. I was writing for Kyle Rice. I was writing for Javier Carlin. Like I just did a bunch of writing. So GT was like, you should look into it, because I think with your writing and what is composed of that, you would really enjoy it. So I was like, all right, cool. 2018, the rest of 2018, I kind of, you know, did what everybody does, YouTube, you know, Udemy, trying to find courses and stuff like that. 2019 was when I got my first client. Shout out to Joe Ranke, that's FitBucks. Joe gave me my first opportunity, and to be real with y'all, at the time I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and maybe in retrospect Joe knew that too, you know what I'm saying, but he gave me an opportunity, and you know, it really helped me grow as a marketer. Fast forward 2020, I think me and Paul had the conversation where it was like, you have to go where the money is, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like, you have to find a place in the marketplace where you can feel value, you know? And when we kind of like surveyed the landscape, there wasn't really anyone that was doing strictly SEO, right? Everyone was like, oh, we do ads, and we do your website, and we do funnel building, and we do this, and so like, for me, I'm like, that's cool, like that's great, like you can still have that big marketing agency. But I'm like, I remember I told Paul, I was like, bro, if we just double down and focus on the SEO stuff, we'll be good, because no one is gonna touch us. Like, just purely SEO, no one's gonna touch us. And at the same time, it was like, we're not competing against anybody, because I don't care what these other marketers are doing. Like, that's them. I'll let them do them, and let's do what we do at OTC. So at that point, that's where we kind of pivoted, and we were like, yeah, let's focus on it, because I felt like we were getting caught up in the circus of like, oh, let's try and do everything. Let's show like, you know, we can meet all your needs. And it just felt like we were, you know, kind of stretching ourselves out with that, you know. So at that point, it was like, let's take a step back, you know, let's refocus, and then let's just lock in purely on the SEO standpoint of things. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, with SEO, first of all, that's like very smart of you to realize that you need to buckle down. I feel like people take years of like just spinning their wheels, like trying this, trying that, and never make any progress. So I feel like just catching that early on probably expedited everything for you guys. So that was really smart. Shout out to y'all. But I was gonna ask, with SEO, how do you get people to buy into it? Because I feel like everybody knows what ads are. Like, everybody needs the website, but they don't really know about like the organic marketing. So how do you get your clients to buy in and say, I'm gonna do this, like it's gonna benefit my business?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give a hack right now to anybody who's a business owner and they have like a high ticket offer, or, you know, they're considering having a high ticket offer. One of the things that we do in our business is we work with a funding company, right? So like, our high ticket offer is 15K. So with that, what do you expect people are going to say when we tell them that? I ain't got it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, let me tell y'all what really helped from a mindset standpoint of like, you can afford this, right? Not me. I'm not pocket watching anybody. Let me just make that disclaimer. But over at Pre-PT Grinds, you know, I saw Joseph and Casey. Shout out to them, by the way. I saw that they started improving their prices or increasing their prices from when I got in 2018. I think I paid like $600. Man, how much money did you pay, bro?
I paid 600 too.
Okay, all right. So we got in like at the right time, you know, because these pre-PTs nowadays, boy, they getting hit over the head. I'm talking about 3, 4, 5K, right? These are people that don't have careers, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe they're pivoting and they're like, I want to do PT now from another career. And so it's like, y'all real deal have these pre-PT students paying this amount of money. So why the hell can't we have business owners paying $15K, for done for you services? And so what I would advise for anyone listening that has like a high ticket offer or wants to move to a high ticket offer is being able to work with a funding company, because the magic of it is like what we do is we get our clients on the phone. We talk to them, hey, this is what's going on, with what we have to offer you. They don't have it. Let's talk about the funding option. We talk to them about the funding company, and essentially the funding company is going to give them or give us the money up front. So it kind of condenses time, because if you're getting like $15K up front, you know what I'm saying? You're not worried about like, is the client gonna pay or whatever the case may be. So they give us the money up front, and then the clients then are able, based off of their credit as well. If they like, if you have really good credit, like your payments are gonna be low. But based off of that, the funding company turns around and says, okay, cool, this is gonna be your monthly payment, right? So when you look at that, when you go from someone looking like, damn, I gotta pay $15K, in 6-month installments or whatever the case may be, and now the funding company comes into the picture and it's like, yeah, it's gonna be like $150, $200 a month. You're like, oh, I can afford that. You know what I'm saying? That's not that bad. So that's one of the things we do. And then being able to kind of package the value from a standpoint of showing results we got, because numbers don't lie. And if I sit here and show you like, yeah, this is one of our clients and we got them from, they weren't even on Google, like for whatever specific keyword they wanted to target, to now they're on page 1, you're kind of like, okay, these guys are legit. You know what I'm saying? So being able to kind of package the value and show them that, but then also kind of showing them that option where they can kind of see like, okay, like I don't have to spend a ton of money up front in order to take advantage of this. Yeah.
I really like that, because I feel like that benefits both parties. So you as a service provider, you're getting your money up front. So you're not even worried about, oh, is this person going to pay me month to month? And then as the business owner, you kind of leverage your time. Like, so say your payment's like $300 a month, you can easily bring that in with a business. So you're not even like in debt anymore. So it kind of is very beneficial for both parties, and it's like time leverage.
Mm-hmm.
That's dope.
Yeah.
What made you think of that, like having the middleman, like the funding service?
So, to be real with you, we didn't think of it. So I think what happened with us is we got to a point where it was like, damn, bro, there has to be a better way. Like I feel like in any business, you're always, once you're progressing, you're always at a standpoint where you're kind of like at a crossroads. And you're like, there's something that's missing that will take us like over the top. But we have to figure out what that something is. And like we lived in a realm where like we were seeing people doing crazy numbers, and you're looking like, I want to do that too. Like I want to put those numbers on the board, right? Like I want to say it was February was the last time I was in Tampa. Yeah, February I was in Tampa, and we were at GT's office, and like you walk down the hallway, and he has on the wall like his $1 million day. You know what I'm saying? And when you walk past something like that, it's like, damn, this dude really did $1 million a day. And the crazy thing about that is that's not even, he's made way more than that in a day. And I'm not going to talk about that. I'll let him tell that story. But, like when you see that, it's like, wow, okay. Like people are really out here doing that. And I think the exposure we had, not just to GT, but like the network and stuff, gave us an opportunity to see other people as well that were doing crazy numbers. And so we looked at it from a perspective of like, okay, we need to figure this out. And what ended up happening is there is a dietitian, Katie Dodge. Shout out to Katie. I'm gonna do a lot of shout outs because you gotta let people know, when they help you out, like you appreciate them. But Katie, she did an intro between us and the funding company, and she was just like, yo, like these guys, you want to work with them. And so we had like a whole phone call or Zoom call just like this. And we're talking to the funding company, and like they talked about like, the buy-in for us to be able to work with them, like the investment and stuff. We're like, okay, cool. And we really learned about them through Katie, and then we realized that this same funding company was the same reason a lot of these other like big name people were doing these crazy numbers, like $1 million a day or $2 million a day, 5 mil, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's when the light bulb kind of went off, and it was like, oh, okay, this is how you do it right here. You know what I'm saying? Because before it was like, how the hell are you getting people to give you that amount of money in one day? But then when we saw that, it was like, that's how it makes sense now. Yeah.
We've been talking about exposure a lot. I think over the last, like our last episode was about exposure and the importance of it. And I think once you're exposed to people who are doing $1 million a day, $2 million a day, you have to ask yourself questions. All right, what are we doing? You have to reassess what you're doing and how you can get yourself up to that level too. So
yeah,
all about the crowd you're hanging out with. And that's what helps keep pushing to keep striving for greatness, as LeBron would say.
Mm-hmm.
What services do you guys offer at OTC for people wondering?
So right now we have our SEO done for you stuff, which is just like any business owners, any online platform that needs SEO done, like we'll do it for you. And we'll hop on the call. We'll legit show you the schematic of what it looks like from month 1 all the way to month 6, because we do a minimum of 6 months. Like I always tell people when we hop in, and something we had to learn is we needed to qualify people before we even got on the phone, because I found ourselves getting on a lot of calls, and we would get on the calls and basically, I don't want to say people wasted our time. Let me just call it what it is, right? People wasted our time. And it's like, if we would have just qualified them before and seen like if they had the budget, et cetera, we would have been good, instead of just like, oh yeah, like let's hop on the phone with them. Like, no, like now we qualify people beforehand. So we always tell them like, look, if you're looking for results next week, we're not the people for you, because that's not how SEO works. We always say minimum 6 months to see results. We've had clients that saw results in 2 months. Some people take longer. There's a lot that is composed of that, but we do that. And then from the 6 months, if you want to keep doing more, we'll do more. If not, then, you just enjoy the results that you were given in those 6 months. And, we'll talk to you in a couple months when you come back and you're like, all right, I still need you guys. Cause that's the beauty of it, is it's like it's an ongoing thing. So we have that. And then the other thing that we have is our SEO simplified community, which is just kind of like our SEO mastermind, where we teach like other business owners some of the tricks of the trade, right? Because I think it's very easy to just like go out here and get hit over the head from Joe Schmo, who claims he's one of the best marketers ever, right? And then he's really not giving you quality work. So with our community, we're kind of showing like, this is what it looks like from a quality standpoint. And this is how you can essentially grow your stuff if you want to do it yourself, you know? So those are the two things right now that we have. And we have some other things we're working on, but those are the big things right now. Yeah.
How do you quantify or measure progress with SEO, like for your clients? Like, how do they know they're getting results?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways. Number one, we can kind of check like their Google tools. So there's like something called Google Search Console, which kind of shows you like traffic. There's Google Analytics, which shows you traffic as well. You know, and Google Search Console also kind of shows on the website like what specific keywords are gaining the most traction. But then we also have a paid tool that we use called Ahrefs, where if you go on Ahrefs and you monitor it, it shows you like plus X amount in traffic, plus X amount in organic keywords. And so that's a good way right there for us to kind of measure that too. And then we can turn around and show the client, like, we'll open up an incognito window and we'll go on Google, we'll type in whatever specific keyword is unique to them. And then off of that, we'll show them like, okay, this is where you are now. This is where you were before. And then they're kind of like, oh, wow, like, okay, like, you know, and it makes sense because you never want to lose them because it can get very complicated and muddy. So we kind of just try to keep it simple from that standpoint and use those things to be able to kind of measure, you know, the success that we're having in the SEO campaign.
How do you, well, do you have clients that are getting like increases in traffic, but they're not converting on the leads? And if so, how do you help them, or do you refer them to another service to help them with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have in our community, we have a portion of it where Paul does like a sales course. So like he teaches them like how to convert, right? And we actually had one of our students last week. She hopped on the call. I think we had that call on Wednesday, and then Thursday she hopped on our SEO call and we were talking, and she was like, yeah, I got like 2 people, you know, since the sales call, like that was great, you know. So in our community, we have that. But from a standpoint of like the SEO done for you, I always say like, hey, our job is to bring them. You know what I'm saying? Your job is to keep them, and your job is to convert them. We can help you, but we're never going to be like, yeah, we're going to do SEO for you and we're going to do the sales stuff. Like, no, like you can go to Jerry Durham for that, right? Like Jerry is the sales guy. So you can, you know, we'll go to Jerry. Jerry will get you right. But when it comes to just like strictly SEO, we're your guys. Yeah.
How do you make sure that you don't stay stagnant? Now you're out of school, you passed boards. Like, how do you make sure that you're continuing to push and taking care of your mental well-being, but also making sure the business is progressing forward?
Damn, that's a good question, man. Honestly, I would say just really continuing to work on my mind, you know, continuing to, you know, do my personal development and stuff like that. I'm very big on that. I have a huge library here, and, you know, I'm always in a book, right? Because I feel like that always keeps my mind sharp. Well, I dibble and dabble in podcasts, but for me, like, I really just like to open up a book and read. So that is one of the things that I think always goes a long way for me, is just keeping my mental sharp because if I'm able to do that, like everything else is just, it's not that difficult to navigate. Of course, life is life and things happen, but I feel like if you have that mental fortitude, it's not really anything, that you're going to come across that you're not going to be able to handle, So I just always look at it like that, and just getting back to the basics of being able to really work on my mental fortitude and keeping my brain sharp and my mental strong.
And taking it back to when you were a student, how much would you say you've invested personally into yourself and into the business? Because I feel like you smile, but I feel like people just think it's like you ain't got to spend any money to make sure you ain't growing, like, but you got to put in money to reap the rewards of what you're trying to provide to your people.
I got to write this down because I get asked this question and I'm like, a lot of money. No, as a student, I invested, let me see. We'll just call it somewhere north of maybe 10K. Yeah, I would say that amount because I invested in some masterminds. I invested in, some courses to get my skills sharp. And yeah, it sucks at first because you invest this money and sometimes it's easy to forget, like you're not gonna see that return on investment tomorrow, fam. So you're looking at it like, damn, like I spent all this money and I haven't seen a penny of it back yet. But I just always look at it like nobody's gonna bet on me like I will. So because of that, it's like I look at whatever I spend now through a lens of like, this is gonna come back later on, and because of that, it gives me an opportunity to move with purpose and not move like timidly, because I'm like, I know I'm gonna come through for me, I know I'm gonna come through for Paul, for the business. So because of that, whatever I had to spend, like, I'll spend. Granted, there are times like me and him will hop on a call and he's like, yo, like, what do you think about us paying for XYZ? And I'm like, look at the numbers. Nah, not right now. Down the road, maybe like 2 months, 3 months. I know right now one of our biggest things is getting into this mastermind. So we'll see what that looks like soon. But I always try to put ourselves in a position where we're going to be able to be in a bigger room, because I know I don't know it all, not just like from an SEO standpoint, but business, marketing, even PT, right? Like there's rooms that you have to get in that's like, these people will change your life. These people will change everything if you let them. You know what I'm saying? So I think it also takes like a certain level of humility, to be confident in yourself, but also realize you can be confident, but still understand like sometimes you have to really take a back seat and realize, yo, I don't know it all. So I need to lean on these people. I need to get in these rooms where these people are going to be able to put me on game and teach me whatever I need to learn to take me to the next level. Yeah.
What would you say for students who are apprehensive or reluctant to invest in themselves while they're in school due to like financial issues or already being in debt? Like, what would you say to them?
If you're scared, go to church. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Are you?
Not really, a little bit. So, I mean, honestly, it just depends on your why. You know what I mean? Like, I always say it like, I can't want something for you, like you have to want it yourself. And because of that, I understand, like, we are, as human beings, we're programmed to want to do what we're comfortable with, right? We want to stay here because we're comfortable doing this, and it's like, we don't understand that when we step outside of that comfort zone, it gives us an opportunity to really grow, and really expand, who we are. And so for students listening, I would say like this: you have to get super clear on what you want, out of life in general, and then based off of that, you need to look at, okay, how do I get there? Right. I'm reading this book right now, 9 to 5 Millionaire. And in the book, he talks about how essentially he had this vehicle in mind that was going to get him to a million, right? Like, he thought he was going to be a professional football player, right? Like a lot of people think we're going to be the next LeBron or the next Patrick Mahomes or whatever the case may be. And that didn't happen for him, but he mentioned, like, he thought his vehicle was going to be a Lamborghini, but his vehicle ended up being a Toyota Camry. Shout out to Toyota, because those are some good cars. But, it was just the analogy from a standpoint of, like, the vehicle that you think you're going to use isn't always necessarily the vehicle that's going to get you to the end destination. So because of that, you have to get super clear on what the destination looks like. And then you need to assess what vehicles you can use to get you there to the destination. So being scared, like, that's normal, right? As a human being, it's normal to feel fear. It's normal to feel like, I don't know. But when you're super clear on where you're going, it makes everything else easier, because you're like, all right, this is what I want. So because this is what I want, this is what I need to do in order to get there.
Gems. You talked a little bit about lifestyle and lifestyle that you want to live. Can you kind of dive into the lifestyle that you are trying to live? Because we talked about this a little bit, but I want the people to kind of hear what you're.
Damn, bro, you all in my business, man. Nah, it's all good. Lifestyle wise, yeah, man. I always think of, when everything's said and done, I would like to be sitting on a couple M's. I always look at being a multi-millionaire. I think everybody is always like, I'd like $1 million, and like, yeah, that's cool, but then what after that? Like, what happens after you hit that first mil? Like, are you done, or are we gonna keep moving? Like, what does that look like? So for myself, I always look at being able to own multiple properties, having multiple successful businesses. Who knows, in 5-10 years, maybe OTC isn't a thing. I'm okay with that. This is a vehicle right now to get me to the destination I want to get to. But I always think of being able to have a lifestyle as well, where ultimately my time is my time. That's the biggest thing to me. Money comes and goes, but you can never get the time back. And so, I want the type of lifestyle where I don't have to worry about that. Like, my family doesn't need to worry about if I'll be able to be there for them. Like, my kids will be straight, my girl will be straight, everybody will be good, because of the sacrifices that I made, And so, we could talk more about that later, because I don't want to ramble on. But ultimately, when it's all said and done, I think about time freedom. I think about that generational wealth, and I think about whenever my clock expires, being able to know like the fam is good, like they're gonna be good, you know, my grandkids, their kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, that's why I like to talk about it, because I think it helps to hear what people are striving for and what makes them go, and I think that's important to hear. What would you say 1 to 2 goals that you're trying to accomplish for OTC and for yourself?
For OTC, one goal that I would say is right now we're trying to get into a potential mastermind. So right now we're just trying to make sure that we can do the numbers needed for that. And also I would say trying to hit our first mill as well. You know, like that's probably the biggest thing. We're not getting too caught up on that, because I think a lot of times like people like to think about like, I want to hit 1 million, I want to hit 1 million. And like, it's great, but it's like, you got to do 100K first. You know what I'm saying? You got to do 200K, 500K. Like, you don't just pop up like straight to 1 million, you know, there's levels to it. And so that's the big thing for us, is being able to get there, but we're also taking it in stride. Like, let's go through the necessary levels, you know, let's get in these masterminds, let's get in these groups that's going to help us hit that faster ultimately. And then for myself personally, one goal I would say is trying to close on a property in the next year. Yeah, in the next year or so, I'm trying to close on another property. So, yeah.
I like that. I like that. Last question I got for you. You give a lot of gems, a lot of value today. If you had to boil it down to 2 to 3 things that you want listeners to take away from this conversation, what would you say are those things to take with them?
I always say this, and my boys that know me well know it. It's one of my favorite quotes. Be phenomenal or be forgotten. You know what I'm saying? Either you're doing it or you're watching, you know? And so I think the biggest thing is you have to really strive to be the best version of yourself. And so you can't get complacent, especially when you see a certain level of success. You know, it's easy to be like, let me coast a bit. And I'm guilty of this. That's why I can speak on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, once me and Paul saw our first big contract, I was like, all right, you know, like, kick my feet up, let's vibe. But you can't get complacent, you know, because there's always an opportunity for you to fall off, you know, and just as quick as you get it, you can lose it. You know, like I'm very conscious of that. You know, I never like to get on my high horse, because I realize like it can all be gone tomorrow, you know. So always looking for an opportunity to like be phenomenal in everything that you do, you know, like just striving to give that excellence, because nobody can want it for you. You have to want it for yourself at the end of the day, you know. And you guys actually talked about this a little bit, or not a little bit. You guys talked about this on a previous episode that y'all had about imposter syndrome, you know, and it's very easy to get caught up in that as well, you know, and feeling like you don't belong or you're not able to do something. Who am I to do this? I'm just a pre-PT, or I'm just a new grad, or I'm just an SPT. Like, you can create yourself to be whoever you want to be. And that's facts. You know, I don't care what anybody tells you. If you want to be a jack of all trades or a Jackie of all trades, you can do that. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be able to do it for yourself, you know? So ultimately, in a nutshell, the best thing I could say is be the driver in your life. You know what I'm saying? Don't be in the passenger seat. You want to be in the driver's seat. Yeah.
You should take what you just said and go talk to the Magic organization right now. They need to hear that. I'll play. But no, Karl, that was fantastic. We appreciate you coming on the pod. Key, anything else you want to add?
That was great. Got me fired up for today. But I could talk marketing and all that stuff all day. So I love the conversation. This was fun. And thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all for the opportunity. What you're doing is dope. Keep it going. I know y'all are just getting started, but the most important thing is just being consistent, which y'all are doing, you know, so just keep that going. Thank you.
Bet on that. And on that note, we'll catch you on the next episode of the Key and Manning Audio Experience.
Peace.
Peace.